BroncBuster's, Tyler here, and in today's video we're going to show you how to install the BroncBuster Ultimate Steering Solution. What is that, you might ask? Well, it's essentially a 𝐻𝐂 3.0 innards with all of our BroncBuster engineered parts that go on there that we've been doing from day one. We're the ones that innovated these parts, and now we want to bring them to you in a most ultimate steering solution. What that gives you is 33% more power. If you haven't experienced it before, that extra power goes a long ways. We have the option here of these beefy Ford Performance tie rods. And of course, we also have the option of adding the tie rod, the Buster brace to those as well. So we have the most complete package on the market for the best price. Most importantly, and the weakest part on both the 𝐻𝐂 2.0 and the 𝐻𝐂 3.0 rack, is this slack adjuster end. We've reinforced it. Out of the thousands out there on the market, never had a failure. So that's why we call this the Bronco Ultimate Steering Solution. Stay tuned. This video is going to show you how you can install it yourself and make your Bronco the ultimate Bronco. All right, for today's install, you're going to of course need your steering rack. That's the most important component. Tie rods, whether you optioned for these beefy Ford Performance tie rods or whether you're going with your own Heim joint aftermarket. Get that out ahead of time, figure out what boot you're gonna need. Next thing you're gonna need is, of course, some clamps for clamping back on. You'll need some grease. I like to use just a multi-purpose synthetic grease. You're gonna want something to tie your steering wheel. You're gonna want a 21 millimeter. You're gonna want something to take your tie rod off, whether that be a large, I think it's a 34 millimeter wrench, or get a big crescent wrench. Disconnect the steering rack from the steering column. 10 millimeter is all that takes right there. Impact, or I like my trusty Milwaukee, 19 millimeter is most Bronco. We have something to take your skid plates off, a hammer, screwdriver. So with that, we're gonna jump right into the install. We're gonna go ahead and jack up the vehicle. Once we jack up the vehicle, let's go ahead now and remove the tires. With the tires removed, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the tie rod. Use your trusty hammer to hit that knuckle, bust that loose. It's going to be, it's a tapered fit, and so you have to kind of bust that loose. After the tie rods are released from the knuckle, you're going to go ahead and loosen the boot off of the rack. You're going to take your wrench and you're going to loosen the inner tie rod and take that tie rod completely off the rack. So since we started on the driver's side, we're now all the way full lock passenger side. Go ahead, just get this out of the way. We're tying the steering wheel because if you turn that steering wheel past the point that it's supposed to go, which is not much further than where it is at full lock, you're gonna break your clock spring. Okay, easy peasy, right? A little bit of play, but you're pretty much gonna return back to that same spot. Now's the time you're gonna go ahead and start taking the bolts out of the steering rack. You're gonna make sure that the bolt going in from the rack that bolts to the steering column, that is out and loose. You're gonna disconnect all of the cables from the rack, and you know, it's up to you. There's a way to maneuver it by just turning ever so slightly and pulling it out, or you can go ahead and loosen the bolts on the front end of your differential, drop your differential down a little bit to give you just a couple more inches of room. Once it is installed in place, you're gonna go ahead and place the bolts back into the rack. Get it in place and tighten it. Now, I recommend go ahead and use some red Loctite, just a little bit, you don't need a lot, and then torque those to 110 foot-pounds. go ahead and reattach your bolts you pulled out for the differential. Again, put some red Loctite on those and torque those back on. Black one towards the back of the vehicle, white one towards the front of the vehicle. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on it, but you're just locking that red tab. Get those inner tie rods nice and tight, put your wheels back on, and you are good to go. All right, thanks for watching BroncBuster and the install of the ultimate steering solution. Don't forget to like our channel
and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed.